Hey everybody, Holly Water here, coming to you live. Okay, probably not live because you're probably watching the recording. I want to talk to you guys about something super cool, something fun. I loaded up an article on my blog yesterday regarding glyphosate. I know lately I've been talking a lot about things like oxalates and carnivore and yada yada, but this one is specific to glyphosate, and with good reason. I received a white paper which cited about 200 and something different studies. It was a lot to go through. The things I do for you, because I care. So I reviewed these studies, the snippets of them that were pertinent to what I do with my patients within my own clinical practice. And I found some very interesting things. So I decided to go through certain blood work from patients that I track to see if I was seeing the same thing within my practice. And sure as shit, I was. I was noticing that many of my patients who previously had zinc deficiency, ones who swapped over to carnivore no longer were. Interesting. And ones who had not switched to carnivore but were doing a more low oxalate diet, there were some differences, although not quite the same. And I thought, okay, so that's interesting. I dug a little deeper. The ones that were consuming nuts, like keto or grains, were the ones that still suffered from zinc deficiency. So I'm noticing that, well, there must be something. There must be a connection. What's the connection? So on carnivore, what are you not having? You're not having your legumes, you're not having your beans, you're not having your grains. Okay, cool. On keto, we're having lots of nuts in a lot of cases. People are like, oh, I have nuts because, protein and fat and blah, blah, and I can have nuts as a snack. I notice people who are some of my really healthy lifestyle patients with the zinc deficiency, some of them were having carbs. Not everyone was keto. Some of them were paleo. And I was noticing that a lot of them were shoving fucking nuts to the face. Personal trainers had told them, hey, if you want to snack on something, reach for nuts, keep some nuts in your desk at work, which is, it's not bad advice. It's advice that we've all given at some point in our careers, whether it be personal trainers, health coaches, nutritionists, registered dietitians, practitioners, whatever the heck you are, whatever title you float underneath your little umbrella. It's something that we've all at some point in time probably told our clients or patients was snack on nuts. Now, I'm conscious that nuts are high in oxalates, but something that I didn't take into consideration looking at all of this with the zinc deficiency, and I know better, but the light bulb went off looking at the studies, was phytates. Holy shit. You see, phytates, when we consume them in our abundance, in nuts and grains, bind to minerals, like zinc, for example. Not just zinc, but for zinc deficiency, I'm going to focus on this specifically. It's crazy because I'm thinking, interesting that this resolves with a carnivore style of eating or a low oxalate diet to a degree, but you got to get the nuts out. And of course the grains, I don't know why anybody in 2020 would still be consuming grains. Luckily, we have a handy bacteria, lactobacilli, within our body that we have that helps to produce, it produces an enzyme, which then degrades and gets rid of and munches up and disposes of anything harmful that we are putting into our body, i.e. the phytates. So it produces an enzyme called phytase, which then gets rid of the phytate that we're getting from those grains and the nuts. Now, I've talked about oxalobacter formagene and how it helps our body to degrade oxalates. Bacilli is here to produce the enzyme to help our body to degrade the phytates that we're getting exposed to from these foods. However, there is a caveat to this. There always is, isn't there? if you're someone who is consuming a lot of foods that could have high amounts of glyphosate, it's going to attack and kill this bacteria because that's part of what it does. Now, we're not just human cells, we're more bacteria than we are human. So this presents an issue, it's a problem. So when you're looking at foods that are high in glyphosate, I mean, it could be your veggies, it can be a lot of the grains that we consume, especially when they're finished, they're sprayed, and then they go into production. So this glyphosate crap is, when we test, we're testing low levels, but it's coming out in our urine. We're seeing it in the blood. There's a lot of it out there in a lot of the studies that we're doing as of late, which shows that it's affecting our Shikimate pathway, which is a bacterial pathway, which affects our central nervous system and much more. Everything is connected, you know, our liver, our kidneys, our pancreas, our gut. It affects the gut mucosa. Like, I could go into a million different details, but on my website, there's a blog article that I put up. Blog section, just look for, you can key in the search bar for glyphosate and read up on all of the stuff that it does, because it's literally a shitstorm. So now I know some of you out there are going, Holly, you're so dramatic. I can just supplement with zinc. It's really not a big deal. I take a zinc copper supplement, so I'm balanced and I'm totally fine. Wrong. It's going to affect your CYP enzymes. Your CYP, CYP, where we metabolize, has effect. It affects our hormone, our liver, our phase 2 detox. Now, because it's affecting our liver, it means it's affecting our vitamin D, which is also affecting how we metabolize our zinc. I think it's important to note that if we don't have adequate vitamin D, we're not going to do what's needed to get the zinc out into our body, and that's a problem. And insufficient amounts of zinc in your brain are something that has been found when we look at patients with Alzheimer's. That's another reason in my books to be carnivore, because I don't really have to worry about that so much. And before you go into the whole, well, you are what your food eats, and if your cows are eating soy, and if your cows are eating corn, and if your, cows are eating X, Y, and Z, which are glyphosate sprayed, which are gross. Listen, get your fucking grass-fed beef. Pick your poison. There are things that we can do to help to mitigate all of this, but for the most part, just try your best to do grass-fed. It's super important. This is why some people don't think it's important, but they're also not delving into the science of the microbiome. They also are not viewing the science on glyphosate, which, again, there's a lot of recent data that's come out, recent as in like the last week or two. It's a big deal. And if you're not taking it seriously, hey, you know what? That's on you. 20 years from now, if you feel like shit and your brain is mush, I told you so. Ain't no point crying that your horse got stole if you didn't shut your damn gate, bruh.